All right, looks like we're live. Testing out some new technology, Ecamm Live. So if anybody's out there, nobody's on yet, let's see what happens if anybody pops in. I'm actually tethered with the EOS R in the 24 to 105 f4 IS, and the face and eye tracking is working well with that as my video camera. So I'm actually just testing this out. I plan on doing a couple virtual live lighting classes. Going to have one coming up with Unique Photo and then another one with Arlington Photo. And we're planning on setting up the studio, having a live shoot with a model. So if you have any things you'd like to see for those live demo shoots, they're going to come up in about a month. I'm just getting things in order. Drop it in the comments. Let's see, Marlon. Hey, yeah, just, trying to learn some new software, Ecamm Live, so I could do some fun switching and stuff, and I just wanted to get a test. I figured we could also discuss my first engagement session using the EOS R5 if anybody's interested. So I'm just going to try now rolling an intro video, so bear with me and let me know what you guys think on this, right? So we're going to do a little intro video. All right, so that's our intro video that we're working with. It's pretty cool. We could do this live switching stuff. It's my first time playing with Ecamm Live. Trying to up the production value instead of running around with the jumpy iPhone. So I'm going to pull up our recent engagement session. And if I could get a thumbs up, if you guys can hear me okay, if you could see me. I'm actually using Bluetooth headphones with a microphone built in. And Marlon, you give me a thumbs up. That's cool. You can hear it. Awesome. So just trying to get my bearings here with this. And let's see. Go to the current application. All right, here we go. So Dawn has finished the editing and toning process. So these are finished and delivered to the client. So I thought we can start with sharing those. But I do want to preface this that while I enjoy working with Canon Digital Photo Professional, I'm not quite used to it in as much as my normal workflow is ingest with Photo Mechanic, and then we use Lightroom for our adjustments. But Adobe doesn't yet have the raw decode for the EOS R5. What they do have is a beta DNG converter. So you could go to adobe.com and you could download the beta version of the DNG converter, take all of your EOS R files, convert them to DNG, and then you can bring them all into Lightroom and edit in your normal workflow. And that's what I experimented with on this session. So let's see where we can go with this. Again, it's just a little bit of a learning curve here with me. So I can make that full screen. There we go. So what Dawn does is I do the call, I do the ingest, I give her the selects, I do a very, very light overview and Lightroom adjustments, and then she refines and finishes them. So what she's done is she's gone through and cleaned them up. There was, like a fire alarm box in the mirror here, and some stray hairs and things like that. So she just really goes in and finishes the images. I just wrote a blog post on Kelby One, which is a great analogy for how Dawn and I work. If anybody's familiar with Elton John and Bernie Taupin, they have a great album called Two Rooms, where Elton writes the music, Bernie writes the lyrics, and when it comes together, it works beautifully. And that's really a good analogy of Dawn and I. I could see the photograph, I can know how I want to light it, the lens selection, all those sorts of things, background. And when it comes to post-production, I become all thumbs and get lost. Dawn could look at an image afterwards and see exactly the same way I see it before I take the photograph. What needs to be done? Color correcting, any vignetting, retouching, all those types of things. So she takes the image and finishes it in a classic, timeless manner. So then what she does for our clients is we go through and give them a black and white for each and every one of the engagement sessions. So you can see this is in the lobby of the building. We wanted to take some really beautiful photographs. Before we went outside, it was 95-degree day, hot, windy, and so I wanted to get her while her makeup and hair were fresh before wind and heat took effect. So we did some in the lobby, and I lit this with one off-camera flash, Canon 600 EXRT, with a mag sphere and a mag grid, because you can kind of see a little bit of natural vignetting going on in here. Let me know if you could see that, what's going on. Marlon, if you're still there, can't see yet who all is in here yet, but I'll figure that out. But anyways, my starting point, what I like to say, is 200 ISO. Remember, ISO is how sensitive your camera is to light. Aperture is the flash output we're asking that particular flash to deliver on. So I wasn't going for f11, f16, small speed light. And then shutter speed is how much ambient light comes into the scene at that given aperture. So really well done. Had to watch for the reflections. Let me zoom down here to something a little bit more tricky. And again, it's dealing with reflections, is an image like this. So I had to watch, but fortunately both the windows were in apex. So when I lit them, I wasn't getting any backflash. But here I'm just blending in the available light and the off-camera flash. The EOS R5 is great. The conversion from CR3 raw files to DNG and then working them in Lightroom was fantastic as well. You can see these files are just gorgeous. And they're huge, you know, they're 45 megapixel files. But what I was doing was capturing them in C raw. So what that does is it's a compressed RAW, and what that does is it allows you to get more images on your particular memory card and then save hard drive space on the back end. So these were captured with ETTL. You can see those settings in there. Cool. Got 10 people watching. Cool. If you have any questions, please fire them in the feed. If there's anything you want to see about the EOS R, we could zoom in on some metadata. And here's the, I'll zoom this. So this is the R5 with the EF 11 to 24. Now, I love the RF glass, but I have a lot of cool EF glass. So you can use the EF to RF adapter, and in my experience, it's just been seamless. So here's a situation again where shutter speed equals ambient light. I wanted to capture that sky in the background, so that's our shutter speed. So we raised the shutter speed up to 200th of a second. I chose to not go to high speed sync because when you get into high speed sync land, and if you're shooting quickly in ETTL, a lot of times you got to start playing with the flash exposure compensation up, because the faster you go in shutter speed, the harder the flash has to work, because it's actually pulsating the flash to keep up with the rate of shutter speed. So by staying at sync speed of 200th of a second, you're able to get the maximum output from whatever flash you're using. So I could have gone f16 if I chose to. Let me share another scene really quick outside of this. I'll get over here and show it to you guys. Lighting just makes a huge difference. So here's these photographs where I started taking it, and you could see there's very little fill in their faces, and that was just available light. But then I wanted to pop in some flash. So now you can see their eyes are filled in, a little bit of highlights in there. We could zoom in on their faces, and you could see now we're getting some specularity. So this is just a little bit of fill flash to get in there to fill in their eyes, right? But I'm still keeping the sky. I'm still able to keep that exposure within the realm of keeping the sky and keeping the couple. So same thing here. I chose to stay at sync speed to get the max out of the flash. So I'm at aperture 8. So that's a lot of light for the little speed light. Now, if you notice, the ISO is at 640. The reason it's at 640 is because where they are in the frame down here is complete shade, very dark. Up here is the sky. So at 200th of a second, shutter speed f8 at 640, I was getting detail in the sky. So that worked out really well. Didn't have to go to high-speed sync plan. And we'll scroll down here. Here's another one. I love at 11 to 24. I mean, it's just a gorgeous lens for taking in a really beautiful cinematic view. Now, I chose to not correct the distortion in this because I just like the angles, the leading lines, the couple, her dress, her colors in her dress resembles that of the sky. So for me, I was digging the whole look. So let's see, where else can we go on this? Another fun thing we did on the engagement session, and you know, because Dawn does all the post-processing, she's always telling me, light it, light it, light it. And when possible, I can, right? So here's another example where we have sun peeking out of the cloud. So the sun keeps going behind the cloud, it goes in, it goes out. So the lighting's inconsistent. So just walking around with that 600 EXRT off camera with the MagSphere, and the grid does a really, really nice job. But you could also get creative. So I'm going to share with you over here. We went in the theater district in Chicago, and then we went into the alleyway, and I wanted to mimic like a stage spotlight, give it that spotlight effect. So what I did is I zoomed the flash head in to 105, and I put 2 grids on the 600 EXRT, and it is on a light stand above me. I'm kind of down low. Boom, and this is still with the R5. What I love about the R5 is the ETTL, you can set it in a function, I believe it's that way by default, reads from the face, head, eye detection. So your ETTL is far more consistent, and you get better tonality, better flash exposure. It's almost like hitting a flash exposure lock on every frame. So here you can see the metadata. I'm still pulling in a little bit of the ambient light that's in this alleyway, but I wanted to create that spotlight effect. Black and white. Oh, how do we get back up there? Come back down here. So the black and white photograph worked really well. It was a lot of fun. So if I go a little bit wider, you can see even more of that circular effect, right? I probably should have brought the mag beam with the circle mask in there. Could have used that, but having 2 grids with me works just as well. So here's another example of working with late afternoon light, because they're in complete shade. So if you look right across the mid portion of this photograph, you can kind of see where the sun is and where the shade is. So I had to go into high-speed sync plan here so that we could expose for the sky. Remember, shutter speed is equal to ambient light. Aperture is equal to flash output. So I wanted aperture 5.6, and we got 500th of a second shutter speed. I like 5.6. I want both couples in focus. Sometimes I choose to go aperture 2 if I'm going to do, foreground, background, or selective focus. But in this situation, just worked out beautifully. Could go higher, could go lower. Now in this particular photograph, I chose to blend the light a little bit more. So now we're not showing the sky, I'm cropping the sky out intentionally. So the whole river walkway is now shade or cloudy shade light. You can see the street lights are already starting to come on. But you can see all I did, and this one is in aperture 2.5, because this is with the RF 28 to 70 f2. Gorgeous hunk of glass. It's like having 4 prime lenses in your bag. The bokeh effect is beautiful. But if you get your subjects on the exact same plane of focus, which I had to do, they're both in focus. So when we zoom in, and this is using the eye detection, you could see, boom, razor sharp on their eyes. Now, if he was a little bit further back, then he would have been soft, being that it's aperture 2.2. So we just keep adjusting accordingly. So then we shot some natural light. This is just street scenes, natural light. And again, the photographs worked out beautifully with the face head eye detection. So if it loses the eye, it goes to the head. If it loses the head, it goes to the body. But it never lost their head. It would only slightly lose their eye when it couldn't see it. When her head was turned sideways like this, it still picked up her eye. So it's pretty sweet. Let's go forward so you can see the tracking on these. It's always just cropping out the runner for a few distracting elements. And this is with the EF 70-200. I've yet to get the RF 70-200 2.8. I'm looking forward to it only because it's smaller, lighter, faster, big improvement. But still, the EF 70-200 version 2 is one of my favorite lenses of all time. Just can't beat the Canon glass. Here is, again, natural light. Now the light is reflecting, the sunset is behind them, but it's light reflecting off of a glass building, shining in on them. But it appears with the same quality and feel of light that the previous images have. So that's what I strive for, so that our lighting looks very practical and very consistent. So that's about it. That's all I've got here for you guys. Let's see, you can pop over. There's no questions in the feed. Very cool. Well, stay tuned. I'll keep you guys posted as to when we actually go live. And using this eCam thing worked out really well. So let's roll our outro video. All right. Thanks everybody for joining in. Thanks, Marlon. Always appreciate you popping in. Very helpful. Testing out, playing with this new software, getting things dialed in, using the EOS R as my webcam, again with face head eye detection, and it's tracking beautifully. So I will see you guys on the other side. Take care and have a great evening.